For me, this course is a very, very thorough exploration of how people who don't have Swedish as their mother tongue can speak Swedish. The thing that I really like about it is that there's a lot of like really, really helpful overviews on the muscles that one uses to form certain sounds because you use different muscles for different languages. So there's a lot of like very helpful information that informs one's Swedish. And at the same time, what this course also has is very, very hands-on videos to practice making these sounds. So it's not just that you have the knowledge but no practice, or you practice but don't really understand. Like you really get both sides of it, and you really understand, oh, I'm actually using this part of my tongue to make this sound. And that's why it's been hard for me because we don't use that in English. So that's what I really like about this course. And you do it in a fun way. You get a fun education about how one makes sounds. And at the same time, you get very practical videos on making those sounds with you and Stefan saying them. And of course, one of the great things with an online course is you can go back to them again and again and again. For me, this course, it's like an investment because, when you start doing this course, when you're at a certain level of Swedish, you understand a lot, but it's something I go back to again and again. And I understand more every time as I work harder on my Swedish. I think one thing in this course that is completely unique, no one else has done this with the MRI pictures, right? I just love that there are MRI pictures that you actually see how the jaw and the tongue and everything and the lips work together to make sounds. It makes it three-dimensional in this other way. I mean, it is very helpful to look at diagrams, but there's something else that to see the mouth in motion as it makes sounds. It helped me learn at this like really like a really visceral level, like a deep level. So I think that's something that this course offers that's really unique and has helped me a lot. When you start speaking Swedish, there's all these new sounds and all these things, but there's actually it's actually there are certain patterns and there are certain sounds that come up again and again and again. So once you understand a couple basic things, it becomes much easier to speak. It becomes much easier to understand other people speaking, and that helps everyone. That helps me, and it helps the people listening to me. The course is very flexible depending on what your level is. And I must say, one of the things I love is that you speak Swedish in a lagom way, a very measured way. You don't speak so slowly that it becomes boring or you think, hey, I'm not 5 years old, but you don't speak so fast that you don't understand. And that's really frustrating. I know, especially in the beginning when I started learning Swedish, I just didn't understand. So number one is that I think it's pretty easy to follow you and Stefan. But what's really nice is that one video has English subtitles and one has Swedish subtitles. So even if you're at, I would say even like the A2 level, you can follow because I think we're all with Netflix and everything, we're all used to listening and following subtitles. And I found that really, really helpful. And then of course, if you get to the like the ultimate level, you don't have to have any subtitles at all, and that's nice too. And another thing I found that was really useful when I watched the video with the Swedish subtitles, if there was something I didn't understand, I just watch the video in English. And you make that choice with every video. It's not like you're locked. That's what I like. You're not locked into a certain way of watching the videos or, taking in the material. And the thing that's really win-win is that as you're learning about pronunciation, uttal, you're also learning new vocabulary. You're listening to Swedish, and so actually doing the course helps your Swedish to get better. That's how I experienced it. It's also interesting, I think, with a course like this too, because about pronunciation. I mean, it's something you need to know about in the beginning and the end. It's a red thread through all language learning. For me to invest in this course, like at the beginning when I'm just doing the English, that's one thing. But as time goes on, I can switch over to Swedish. And so so the course will works for me even when I get to a higher level. So I think that's really cool that you guys have done that. because again, you're not locked into one thing, into one level. When I started learning Swedish and when I finally got brave enough to try speaking Swedish, I noticed that it happened actually rather a lot in the beginning that I would say something and that the person I was talking to would get this look on their face. They'd go like this. And that's when I started to understand it's not that the word I didn't know the words or what I was saying. It's just it's my pronunciation. It's kind of a hard truth, but pronunciation is important to be understood. It eases communication for people to understand me and for me to understand other people. It's not something you do once and it's done. It's like, oh, I took a weekend course on pronunciation. I'm good. It's not, as we say, one and done. It is something that, as I said, it's a red thread through your language learning, and it is something that needs practice. The really nice thing that you guys emphasize in your course is that little and often. So that's one thing that I found. And that's what's so great about having a course with like a lot of small videos. You know, if I know like, okay, I'm going out in a half hour, I can take like 10 minutes or 15 minutes and watch a video and work on my pronunciation. And it is really amazing how just that little bit every day, I think we all know that, like, with exercise and with so many other things, it doesn't have to be a lot, but it's important that it be steady. And the other great thing about pronunciation, as I said, you understand other people better. And once I learned those patterns that Swedes have, like for instance, like I said, the word min or day, I can hear that in other people. And so it reinforces what I've learned in the course and it reinforces me saying it. So it's win-win. So it really is about communication. And it's not about getting rid of for me, it's not about getting rid of my accent. That's never gonna happen, I don't think. But it's about being speaking in a way that Swedish people will understand me so that we can go deeper. We can focus on we don't get caught up in the pronunciation, then we can talk about, deeper things like politics or culture or humor. That's another thing. So that's why for me pronunciation is really important. What's really nice with this course is that I build up my confidence, my speaking confidence. I think I speak for most people that I've met in my language classes where we're like, you know what, I'm good with reading, I'm good with understanding, I'm maybe good with writing, but it's talking. And if you feel, oh, my pronunciation's so bad, then that can be a hinder to actually talking. And nothing's going to happen if you don't start talking to Swedes and other people in your classroom. So that's why I think that this sort of this course on pronunciation, it gives you confidence that you have like not again, like we said, not perfect, but you have a clue. You have like a sense of like how it's done, and then I feel like okay. So I think that's also another advantage to taking. It's been really important for me in doing this course. The thing that I really like about the exercises is that in the beginning, I think what happens, it's so nice what you and Stefan do that you pronounce words and then the person doing the course, you pronounce it back. And you do that enough and then it becomes natural. It becomes a natural part of your musculature. But it's really nice to have that opportunity to be like, okay, this is how you say this one word, to break it down into such small parts. And then, of course, then you have the videos on actual sentences, and that's really helpful too. Once you kind of have a handle on the small parts, then it's like, well, this is how we do a sentence. And you watch that often enough and it becomes part of you. And as we said, then you begin to recognize it in other people. So it's reinforced. The more you have contact with the Swedish language, these patterns are reinforced. And then they become a part of your Swedish, that's the goal.